Homeostasis Part 2. This video will take us through, now we're going to focus a bit more on the learning outcomes, defining what excretion actually is, recapping osmoregulation, but then getting through the detail of the kidney and into structures called the nephron. So this video is going to focus on structure of the nephron, and subsequent videos then focusing on the actual functional parts of it. Okay, quick recap of kidney structure. You know from the last lesson that we have a cortex on the outside. Below that we have an area called the medulla. Now remember, over the whole outside of that we have this fibrous connective and protective capsule. We have a pelvis region into which liquid will drain down into the ureter and into the kidneys. Now frequently the wee pointy bits are called pyramids, but two main parts are the cortex and the medulla. So now the main part of this is these wee structures called nephrons, and you'll see them here in this little image. There, round to there. There's a twisty bit in the cortex and then a big loopy bit in the medulla. Now we're going to look at the detail of these structures. So, frequently referred to the functional unit is called the nephron. Very complicated twisty bit with associated blood vessels. It's just a tube. It links into another big tube, and lots of them come in. It's like a drain pipe called the collecting duct. But we're going to look at a simple diagram and break it up into its component parts. So we'll see the main regions. We have this area made up of a glomerulus, it's a knot of a blood vessel, you'll see it in a moment, and a Bowman's capsule. We have a long bit of tubule called the proximal tubule. It's all folded backwards forward, so they can put another word in here called convoluted, so sometimes called PCT, proximal convoluted tubule. That goes into a loop named after somebody called the loop of Henle. Then we have a distal tubule or distal convoluted tubule, which joins and drains into the collecting duct. So here we have a much simplified diagram of the nephron, and you need to associate that word with this structure. So there's a curvy horseshoe bit, a wiggly bit, a loop, a wiggly bit, and a drain pipe bit where lots of other nephrons will connect in to the side. In simple terms, all that really happens is that blood will flow into this blood vessel. This is a big tangle of capillaries in here, given a special name called the glomerulus. And under the high pressure, small molecules will filter out of the blood into this cavity. Now remember, this is a tube, then they'll travel on down round. And if they're not reclaimed or picked up by the blood again, they will pass into this thing called the collecting duct, which will drain down into the bladder. So the first part of this structure is called the Bowman's capsule. Now it also has this associated capillary or glomerulus, but that's the first bit. The next bit of the nephron, this tubule coming away from the Bowman's capsule, is known as the proximal convoluted tubule. Proximal means close, like close proximity. Convoluted just means that it's twisted or folded, and tubule is the fact that it's just a tube. The third portion of the nephron is the structure called the loop of Henle. It has both a descending limb, L-I-M-B, and an ascending limb. The fourth portion of the nephron, coming away from the loop of Henle, is known as the distal, meaning a distance from the Bowman's capsule. The distal, convoluted, again twisted, tubule. And the final portion, where the nephron connects into, is called the collecting duct.